As the week progressed and the dream repeated every night, David found it harder to ignore. Still, he kept it to himself. Tuesday, May 22nd, David had the dream for the 7th night in a row. He began to feel he would have no peace until he took action.
It starts to bank off and just rolls on its back and down it goes. And the same explosion. Nothing.
David telephoned the Cincinnati office of the Federal Aviation Administration and spoke to facilities manager Paul Williams.
The first thing David described to me was the type aircraft he thought it was. First of all, he identified it as an American Airlines plane. He described it as a big plane with an engine on the tail. Now, I asked him if he knew specifically what type aircraft it was, but David didn't know one type aircraft from another.
Williams asked David to search the dream for more specific information. But each night it came back frustratingly the same. All that week, they spent hours reviewing every detail.
My initial reaction to his description of the aircraft was that it was a Boeing 727. However, the engine on a Boeing 727 is in the tail, and the engine on a DC-10 is on the tail. A more accurate description of what he told me would be a DC-10 or a plane similar to that, because he described the plane as having an engine on the tail.
On Friday morning, May 25th, the start of the Memorial Day weekend, David had the dream for the 10th time. But this time, it left an unexpected impression. The feelings had not changed, but David said he somehow knew he would never have the dream again.
I went to the office, and I could not do anything. I think I must have just went through that whole day in a daze. Very much upset. Oh, I mean, I was, at one point in the afternoon, I thought I was on the verge of a nervous collapse. I took off work early. I had to. There was no other choice. I couldn't function there.
It was 4 o'clock. 3 o'clock at Chicago's O'Hare Airport.
Flight 191, cleared for takeoff. 191, roger, here we go.
270 people were aboard Flight 191, a DC-10 bound for Los Angeles. Was this the flight David and Sean had seen? Sean had seen an American Airlines jet bound for California, involved in a Midwest crash. David identified the same airline and saw trouble for a large jet with an engine on its tail.
And I look up in the air and there's this great big jet, and it just wasn't making the sound that it should. It starts to turn with the wing going up in the air and then goes straight down into the ground and it explodes.
One of the plane's engines had broken away during takeoff. At 500 feet, the plane began dropping. Eyewitnesses reported the other wing engine shut off. There was silence in the air. It was the worst air disaster in U.S. history. All those aboard died.
When I heard that an aircraft had crashed in Chicago, it was as if I knew what had happened. All of the other events that I've learned that happened in Chicago describe after the fact what David Booth described to me before the fact.
News of the disaster had not yet reached David and his family.
I came home, and we ate dinner, and we sat down to watch television, and a news break came on. I can't even find the words to describe how I felt. I called Paul Williams, and I think emotionally I just fell apart.
David appeared to me to blame himself for not being able to get enough information to prevent this accident from happening. He seemed to feel that if he could have grasped just a little bit more information, that he would have been able to prevent that accident. It seemed that he felt he was being singled out as the only person in the whole world that message was being given to. I tried to tell him that he couldn't blame himself for it, that he had done all that he possibly could.
We did try to do something. We made an attempt, even though we failed. If there had just been somebody that we could have talked to that understood these, then maybe in some way it couldn't have been prevented. I don't know. I feel that way. I feel that way very much.
Since his premonition about Apollo 12, Alan Vaughn has started dream workshops. At the New Ways of Consciousness Foundation in San Francisco, he helps people learn about the inner world of their minds and suggests techniques for coping with frightening dreams of the future.
Instead of being frightened by them, learn to talk to them and understand them. And then after a while, your dreams will give you images that can really be helpful. So you can turn a frightening situation where the dreams terrify you into a situation where the dreams bring gold.
Robert Nelson continues his search for dreams of the future. If you have a premonition, write to the Central Premonitions Registry, Box 482, Times Square Station, New York, New York, 10036.
Lost civilizations, extraterrestrials, myths and monsters, missing persons, magic and witchcraft, unexplained phenomena. In search of cameras are traveling the world, seeking out these great mysteries. This program was the result of the work of scientists, researchers, and a group of highly skilled technicians.